We'll manage. The list, Rita.
Beg pardon, Miss Maple. I don't think I understood.
Understood what?
Well, you said your weekend guests were strangers, yet they weren't.
Oh, I know them by their writings.
I don't expect Haversham reads a great deal.
Surely you've read a mystery or two.
Can't say that I have. I like gothic romance and stories about nurses in love with doctors. Once in a while I enjoy a horror comic. The cover's gory enough.
Merciful heavens.
Ladies, please, I insist on decorum at all times.
Of course.
Whatever you say, ma'am.
Each guest is a famous mystery writer. He or she is not coming as himself or herself, as the case may be. He or she will be arriving as his or her creation.
Creation?
Each guest will spend the weekend as his or her alter ego.
I don't think she understands.
I'm trying to.
They'll be coming as the detective hero or heroine of their books. They will not use their real names or personalities, though they're arriving from all over the country. Joy and fun!
Yes, ma'am.
I do suspect they know of my little project. Few mystery writers don't, despite all the secrecy.
Little project?
It's no concern of yours.
No, ma'am.
Just make sure that the biscuits are warm and the sherry room temperature.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see, we have Louis Fan, the famous Oriental detective. Father White, he uses the psychological approach, and Peter Flimsy, he's very much in the Sherlock Holmes school.
He's a student?
Havisham, you're quite hopeless.
I expect I am.
Run down to the beach and guide them up.
I wish the cook and helper would hurry and get here.
Do you really think Haversham is suited to this work?
I promised the parole people I would give her a good home. We must be patient with her.
Parole people? You mean she's an ex-convict?
I mean, she's still a convict.
Still a convict?
Stop repeating everything I say. You're sounding like a minor bird. The truth is simple enough. She's on a work program.
Work program? Sorry.
If everything works out well, her sentence is reduced and she's put on permanent parole. Much will depend on my report.
What was her, crime?
I don't recall exactly. Some unpleasantness with a hatchet, I believe.
A hatchet?
Rita, compose yourself. There'll be quite enough melodrama when our guests arrive. Chandler Marlowe, now there's a man to reckon with. Seedy, down and out, but intelligent in a brutish sort of way. A true male chauvinist.
I wish I would have known about Havisham before I took this job. She doesn't like me, you know.
Rick and Laura Carlyle, what a witty couple. So sophisticated, so urbane. I'll enjoy their company.
Unpleasantness with a hatchet could mean almost anything. What if the storm was as bad as the one last week? We were cut off for nearly 2 days.
We're well stocked with foodstuffs, no worries.
Havisham. I recall the name. It was a famous case.
I must say I had second thoughts about inviting Charity Hayes, a bit too much like James Bond for my taste. Oh, still she's a superb bridge player. Oh, all in all a delightful menage.
Come along, she's waiting. Lucky you got across before the storm.
It arrived. Excellent.
Yes. You must be Miss Maple. Delighted.
I'm not Miss Maple.
I am Miss Maple.
I knew you anywhere. Delighted.
You must be Father White.
How did you guess?
Hardly a guess. Your clerical caller.
First rule of psychological detection. Disregard the obvious. Focus on the possible. I could be Louis Fan in disguise.
Touché. You're a master. My social secretary and companion, Miss Islesbarrow.
How do you do, my dear?
Welcome to Turkey Island.
You know, to the best of knowledge, only one other island in history has been called Turkey. A battle was fought there. In the Aegean Sea, 4th century BC, Spartans versus the Maltese.
I don't think there's any connection. This island used to be a turkey farm.
Please be seated. Sherry and warm biscuit shortly. I wonder who this could be.
Take a look at this thin nose, sister. These gray eyes, this jaw of stone. It ain't Charity Hayes.
Oh, no, it ain't. Oh, you're a wonder, Mr. Marlowe. Your dialogue is infectious.
I know.
My social secretary and companion, Miss Islesbarrow.
How do, sister?
Welcome to Turkey Island.
Please be seated. Sherry and warm biscuit shortly.
Ooh.
Mistakenly, Mr. Fan.
First rule of Far East detection, disregard the obvious. I might be Laura Carlyle in drag.
My social secretary.
No meeting. Overheard on a balcony. Welcome to Turkey Island. Most unusual portrait.
How good of you to accept my invitation? Oh, I'd know you anywhere. Mr. and Mrs. Carlyle.
Not necessarily. They could be the cook and helper you're expecting.
We're going to have You brought your little dog.
We couldn't take along a real bow wow.
Get seasick.
I said to Laura, who's gonna know it's Rick and Laura without their pooch Napoleon?
Almost anyone.
Do make yourselves comfortable.
Sherry and warm biscuits shortly.
Welcome. Delighted to have you on Turkey Island.
Oh, well, I could hardly resist a weekend at any establishment by the name of Ravenswood Manor. It conjures up pictures of the English moors. Dark, rude, mysterious.
Oh, totally right. Splendid. My spinal fluid has turned to frost. Oh, this.
Continental gentleman, Laura.
One of a vanishing breed, Rick.
Don't look sanitary to me. Slop run over a dame's knuckles.
I detect the dubious charm of Chandler Marlowe.
Look here, Flimsy.
Are we all here?
I believe so.
No, Miss Maple, there's one more.
One more.
Charity Hayes.
Oh, silly of me, I forgot. Don't keep us waiting, Miss Hayes. Come in. Come in, Charity.
Charity Hayes is some woman. Come on in, baby.
I don't think my sniffles is clearing up, Miss Maple. I think I'm coming down with something.
Where's Charity Hayes?
Who?
The other lady on the boat.
What's in this room is it?
She wasn't with us on the boat. We assume she arrived earlier.
Oh, I've had an invitation of mine ignored.
Maybe she'll come on the other boat.
Unless the storm blows up. Run along, Havisham, fetch refreshments.
I wonder who does her dresses.
I just thought we'd all snack until dinner. I do hope you all like blue cheese fondue.
I'll see that everything's prepared upstairs.
Thank you, Rita.
Interesting woman, that Miss Islesdown. Has she been with you long?
Barely a month, why do you ask?
When the moment is ripe, I shall harvest my deduction.
Now, there's no need to act so mysterious, Mr. Chan. I mean fan.
We gonna sit around and chew the fat?
It's either that or blue cheese fondue.
Let's chew the fat.
Please, dear guests, we mustn't get off subject. There are ground rules.
I'm concerned about the storm.
There's absolutely nothing to worry about.
What was that?
I'll handle this.
Miss Maple, Miss Maple, Miss Maple.
What's wrong with the young woman?
Miss Maple, Miss Maple, Miss Maple.
She got a problem, or is she advertising pancakes secretly?
Havisham, get a hold of yourself.
She's hysterical.
I don't see anything amusing in her condition. Havisham, take a deep breath. Another. Good. Now tell us what happened. Why did you scream like that?
It's the only way I know how to scream.
I mean, what frightened you?
I saw a face at the window.
Face at the window?
A man's face.
Can you describe him?
I don't think so. He had his nose pressed up against the window pane.
Oh, that's what you get for reading comments with gory covers. Probably the man from the boat.
No, I'd recognize him.
Perhaps it was a peeping Tom?
Ravenswood man would be unsuitable terrain. No one lives here except myself, Havisham, and Rita.
She's got a point.
Oh, storms always frighten Havisham. The refreshments.
Yes, ma'am.
How long has Havisham worked for you?
Not long, why do you ask?
I seem to recall the face.
It's not one you'd forget in a hurry, especially in that dress.
Your attention, please. I will go over the ground rules and then we shall proceed with our charade. If you don't know me personally, and oh, none of you do, you know my reputation for amusing weekend parties. I am recognized as an outstanding hostess with a fine imagination for all that is bizarre and unique.
Oh, the same was said of Sherlock Holmes.
Then I'm in first-rate company. You've all done well so far.
You couldn't tell us from our literary counterparts.
No, that's what makes this so charming. However, I do insist that you keep up with the little games. I forbid you to use your real names. Oh, I'll be watching and listening. If the weekend turns out the way I trust it will, you will all receive wonderful news that will benefit you financially. Oh, I trust you're all willing to play along.
Of course.
I'm with you, sister, all the way.
Oh, Chandler, you're a rare customer.
I like to think of myself as well done.
What's her game?
Rick is always serious when he hears the word financially.
Money, like sweet-smelling flowers, attracts the bumblebees.
You calling us bumblebees?
If a shoe fits.
Bumblebees don't wear shoes.
A figure of speech, Chandler. Dreadful syntax, of course, but colorful. Typical of the amusing Louis Vuitton.
May I ask something?
Be my guest, sister.
Why are we all talking like this? Miss Maple's out of the room.
How do you mean?
We can relax, be ourselves, talk normally.
I am talking normally. This is the way I always talk.
Quite.
I wear this collar, but my speech is my own.
Man who loses identity seldom finds himself.
Whatever that means.
Laura and me aren't any different here than we are at home in our fashionable East Side Manhattan apartment. Right, Napoleon?
Miss Maple is the most enterprising woman. She's also, as a Volkerson goes, filthy rich. She wants another scalp on her famous parties list. I'll volunteer mine. I'll enjoy humoring her.
Most generous.
Who are you kidding, Flimsy? Sure, the old Maple Dame's famous for throwing these weekend parties. The way I hear it, she's going to open up a chain of bookstores.
Bookstores?
Detective bookstores.
Detective bookstores?
Of course. None of you knew about that, did you? We're all here for the same reason, and it ain't to sample blue cheese fondue.
Forget the fondue.
That won't be easy.
In other words, you believe we're all here to win Miss Maple's fate.
Thus ensuring our detective novels are placed on the shelf, as it were.
That's the name of the game.
Well, whatever. I don't imagine the Charity Hayes books are going to be on Miss Maple's shelves. Business is business. And if Miss Maple wants to play games before placing an order with the publishers, I say why not?
Bravo. I imagine you're quite glad about this. Most of your stuff is out of print.
If you weren't a man of the cloth, I'd have a few choice words for you.
Fantasy novels aren't doing much better. Even the Nostalgia Book Club turned him down.
Be aware of the dragon's wrath.
Only thing dragging about you is your book sales.
There's no way to start the weekend. This should be a light and happy occasion. How about some music?
Good idea, I'll get something. I hope the static won't be too heavy. The storm could cause interference.
We interrupt this program of light chamber music to bring you a special bulletin. A dangerous murderer has escaped from the Marin County Institute for the Criminally Insane. Known only as the Killer of 40 Faces, the prisoner seized a rowboat at dawn and was last seen heading into a fog bank on the approach to Turkey Island. Now, back to our Mozart concerto.
Can it be true?
What about the mysterious face the maid saw at the window?
40 faces? Well, there's a master of disguise.
Sherry and biscuits.
My congratulations, Miss Maple.
What you talking about?
The classic touch. I've used it several times in my own novels.
Isolated house on a lonely island. And then, a radio or television flash. Mad killer on the prowl.
Oh, you're too clever for me, but I did think it was amusing. Too kind, too kind. It's not easy to fool detective writers. Havisham, serve the sherry.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's hear it again.
Oh, by all means, it was most amusing.
I couldn't have done better myself.
Witty, that's what it was, Miss Maple.
Here goes.
I accuse.
Oh dear, that's not it.
I accuse.
Get it like you had it the last time.
It's all there is.
Step back from the console.
I don't understand.
Chandler Marlowe.
Me?
Chandler Marlowe, I accuse you of a foul crime. You cannot escape your past.
Foul crime.
It's a gag, that's all right, sister.
Louis Fan, remember that night in Shanghai? I accuse you of treachery.
Have never visited the illustrious city of Shanghai.
Rick and Laura Carlyle. What does the name Tulip mean to you both? I accuse you of unforgivable deceit.
Tulip.
I think I recognize that voice.
Father White, why are you really here at Ravenswood Manor?
I was invited.
I accuse you of sinister motives and shaming your calling.
Well, it seems you've all been up to some mischief.
Peter Flimsy, what actually happened on the cricket field at Eton?
Well, Eton? I haven't been there.
I accuse you of dishonor.
Shall I set out the biscuit?
Hold your tongue. Oh, you're trying to be funny.
It's my nerves.
Charity Hayes, I accuse you of murder.
Murder? I don't know anything about murder. What are you looking at me for? I'm not Charity Hayes.
You have heard the accusations. You cannot escape. You will be punished.
It's a gag, I tell you.
Miss Maple,
Yes.
what is the real secret of Ravenswood Manor?
Is that all?
That is all.
I can't get anything. It's all static.
You've outdone yourself, Miss Maple.
Very original.
Effective and theatrical, and once again, classic. I myself used the technique in my bestseller, Crime at Coffin Corner.
I used it in Murder at the Masquerade.
Respectful. Submit my title, serialized in several popular magazines. Crime is a puzzle man.
Don't forget I used the gimmick in Murder Mops Up.
And Laura and I employed the accusing record floor in her clever and sophisticated Manhattan murders.
I think I'd like to go to my room now.
Sounds sensible. I could do with a slap of aftershave.
Point away, sister.
Are you speaking to me? Of course you are. I forgot our little charade for the moment. Through the hallway, up the stairs, you'll find your name on your door.
Most delightful interlude, honorable hostess.
Thank you, Mr. Moto.
Fan.
Fan?
My name is Mr. Fan, Miss Maple.
Yes, of course.
May present a question.
Please do.
Man in a portrait. Honorable ancestor?
Yes, my father.
His name, please?
His name? Mr. Maple.
Oh, most compelling face of your father. Please to be excused.
Now, what about these biscuits? They'll get stale.
Why didn't you tell me about that last tape?
I thought you put it on there.
Don't be silly. My tape was the first tape.
Oh, they were scared, your guests.
You noticed that too.
They tried to cover up, but I know a room full of scared pigeons when I see them.
It's not that time of this storm, I'm afraid.
The lights might go.
Why isn't Rita here when I need her?
I'm right here, Miss Maple.
Rita, why didn't you tell me about that last tape?
The one you put on the machine?
No, the one accusing my guests of dark crimes.
I don't know a thing about it, Miss Maple.
Rita, why do you so often carry that hat box? What's in the hat box?
Nothing.
Then why carry it?
I better check on the supplies the motorboat loaded on the dock.
She's acting strangely, that one.
A weird customer, Miss Maple. She put on the other tape, I bet. I'd keep an eye on her if I was you.
Well, you're not me. Come along to the kitchen. I want to check on the fondue.
Someone say something about biscuits and sherry? Anyone about?
I didn't know you were downstairs, Mr. Carlyle. I thought you were with the others.
I came down a moment ago. You been outside?
I was going to the dock, but it's starting to rain heavily and the wind is up.
What's in the hat box?
What would you expect to find in a hat box, sir?
Strange lady. I've been poisoned! I'm dying! Dying! Dead!
Sounded like Carlyle.
What do you suppose he was yelling about? Sounded as if he were in pain.
Maybe you got into the fondue.
Most curious.
What is?
One a biscuit missing, one glass with the sherry. Gone.
What of it?
We heard a scream.
All the way to the kitchen.
Perhaps you could enlighten us, Miss Maple.
About what?
Missing glass with the sherry and an absent the biscuit.
Who's he?
Man, a well-known Oriental detective.
Not him.
It's Rick.
It can't be.
Don't look, Miss Carlyle.
Whatever you think best.
Is he dead?
Dead.
How dead?
How dead can you get?
The voice on the radio, it said we'd be punished.
What's going on with that figurine, Havisham?
Now what?
It fell off the mantle.
Didn't even touch it. Quite broken.
I think I understand. It's most classic. As each of us is punished, a figurine will fall from the mantle. 9 in this room, 9 figurine on a mantle.
3.
Explain, please.
There aren't 9 figurines on the mantle, there are only 3.
I must readjust deduction.
Never mind about that. This is serious. We got a dead man here.
This isn't turning out as I planned. Chandler, what does it all mean?
Me? It means murder, Miss Maple.
Murder?
Murder on Turkey Island.
Is it on? Check it out.
Hey, Flimsy! Flimsy!
Chandler, this is no time to be walking about outside. You'll catch something.
The only thing I want to catch is the killer.
You're quite sure the poor fellow is dead?
The killer?
I mean Rick.
Flimsy and me laid him out on a table in the wine cellar. He's still there. The dead don't walk.
I fear Miss Mabel's little charade has taken a nasty turn.
Never saw a murder that wasn't nasty. Nasty murders are my business.
You're used to crime in the
The
streets.
streets are my beat. Fancy dumps like Ravenswood Manor are a bit rich for my blood.
Am I intruding?
Oh, not at all, my dear. Do join us.
Don't get up.
You getting any sleep, baby?
Dropped off the minute my head hit the pillow.
Grief does that.
Chandler, you're all wet.
The duck's almost gone. The storm's torn up the piling. If the cook and helper get here, my name ain't Chandler Marlowe.
Your name isn't Chandler Marlowe. I mean, really.
You're a stickler for details, Padre.
I suppose you're wondering why I've taken Rick's demise so lightly?
You ain't exactly used up a box of Kleenex with the waterworks.
The truth of the matter is, Rick and I have been estranged for some time. Would you like to hear about it?
Not really, Laura, my dear. Domestic troubles are quite beyond my comprehension. Man of the cloth and all that.
Personal things should be kept personal. I ought to know. I've looked through enough keyholes.
If you insist, he was interested in another woman. Or perhaps more correctly, another woman was interested in him.
Dames will get you every time.
Do you know the creature?
Rick or the other woman?
The other woman.
In a way, I had a private investigator.
What sort of person was she?
Fascinating, I suppose, but unscrupulous. Her name was Mabel Dupree.
What is it now?
What are you talking about?
You said her name was Mabel Dupree. What does she call herself now?
That's a stupid question, Chandler.
Well, let's hear a stupid answer.
The lover doesn't change its spots. I imagine her name is still Mabel Dupree.
What did the private investigator come up with?
Almost nothing. She moves around, never stays long in one place. He did find one thing of interest.
Oh?
She had a violent temper.
Sounds like my kind of woman.
I can understand the attraction with Mabel Dupree, the flame, and Rick Carlisle, the moth.
Only he got burned. Bad.
Classic tragedy.
I love that man of mine. He'd be by my side today if it weren't for that vampire.
Speaking of vampires, Miss Maple's library has a fine collection of Victorian novels. Some of them are quite ghoulish.
Not my type of stuff. I cover the pavement.
Do you think that she might be mixed up in your husband's death?
Miss Mabel?
Miss Dupree!
A woman like that is capable of anything.
You're positive you've never crossed paths?
Never set eyes on her. However, I did hear her voice.
When?
Where?
In my contemporary Manhattan apartment weeks ago before the invitation arrived. The phone rang. I answered. The operator said, person-to-person call from Mabel Dupree for Rick Carlisle. Then I heard her voice.
What did she say?
She said hello.
What did you say?
I said, if you know what's good for you, you'll never try to contact my husband again.
Or else.
Or else what?
I'd rather not say. This is all so distressing. Fun and games are one thing, murder is quite another.
Amen, sister. Murder ain't no parlor game.
Chandler, you're all wet.
I've been outside.
Obviously. Oh, what am I going to do?
No telephone anywhere in the house.
None. No wireless or citizens band either.
It's a cinch no boat's gonna get here until morning.
Oh, what about poor Rick?
Flimsy and me took care of him. Where have you been? Thought you were gonna give me a hand outside. For all we know, the killer could be out there right now prowling around waiting for another target.
You mean he may strike again?
He or she. The female is the deadly species.
Chandler, you're wrong.
Don't say it! Don't say it or I'll give you a knuckle sandwich.
Your sword would resort to brute force.
Oh, it's been the secret of my success.
If a brute force were all, Tiger would not be a scorpion.
There you go talking about bugs again.
Mr. Moto, have you discovered anything that might shed light on this terrible affair at Ravenswood Manor?
Fan.
What?
His name is Fan. You said Moto.
Did I? How peculiar.
Please to enter.
You have discovered something.
Please be seated, Miss Maple. She'll presently name murderer of once semi-famous Rick Carlisle.
Really?
Patience. All will be revealed.
I have a strong feeling, Mr. Wong, that the murderer's name will begin with the letter M.
Bang!
What?
His name is Fan. You call him Wong.
I didn't say he was wrong. I said the murderer's name would begin with the letter M.
Not wrong, Wong.
This is getting us nowhere. I do hope the suspense will last.
The guy we need here is Pharaoh Link.
Who?
Top police detective on the Frisco force.
Oh, I'm not unfamiliar with his name. However, since he doesn't write detective fiction, he wasn't on my list of invitees.
What's all this business with the letter M?
The deceased was mixed up with another dog.
Mabel Dupree.
Please, know nothing of the letter M.
Comes right after L. Sorry.
Why should this Dupree woman poison Mr. Carlyle?
I know her sort. Unpredictable, quick-tempered, dangerous. A woman like that will stop at nothing.
What's her motive?
Obvious. Rick preferred me and told her so. Mabel Dupree vowed vengeance.
Proof?
No proof. Woman's intuition.
Intuition ain't no substitute for logic.
Must get a choo-choo back on the track. The clue is in the recording. Killer knew each of us intimately.
If you mean the accusations, I have no idea what the fellow is talking about. I only hear because I was invited.
Killer hates detective mystery writers. She'll now name murderer. You are murderer!
Miss Maple's father.
Correction, please. That is portrait of famed historian Ludwig Flush.
But why would Ludwig Flush want to do us harm?
Early in his career, Ludwig Flush published detective novels under the pen name of Antonia Cheddar. Failed miserably, turned psychotic, and devoted life to a subject of ancient history.
You mean his sense of frustration is so fierce he'd punish successful detective writers?
I've heard of weirder customers.
Where is he now?
In the house.
I know. He must have been safe at the window.
Could be.
Not possible.
Why not?
Ludwig Flush confined to a wheelchair due to advancing age.
A nice theory, but it won't hold water.
I like this coat I'm wearing. It's damper than a lunch counter rack.
Have a proof.
What kind of proof, I wonder?
I'm afraid Mr. Wong gets carried away. He does this in his writings too, and never could make any sense out of his nonsense. One finds more clarity in a fortune cookie.
Behold! Incriminating evidence.
Wheelchair, I fail to see what that proves.
Miss Maple, why did you lie to us? Why you say a man in a portrait was dishonorable father?
I had no idea it would come to this.
You mean Ludwig Flush is your father?
I don't mean anything of the sort. I don't know any deranged person by the name of Ludwig Flush.
Portrait.
If you must know, there's a hole in that fireplace wall. The portrait fit perfectly, so I used it for covering.
Where'd you get the portrait?
Where do I get all my interesting pieces? At a garage sale. Your entire line of reasoning is absurd.
But the wheelchair.
Maybe this will help. What's written here?
What's it say, kid?
Property of United States Coast Guard.
Coast Guard.
If found, please contact nearest federal lighthouse station.
If it doesn't belong to Ludwig Flush, then how did it get here?
All sorts of flotsam and jetsam washes up on the beach. It's kept in the cellar, but obviously Mr. Fan felt the need to bring the wheelchair upstairs to aid in his ridiculous theory.
Must reconstruct deduction. Most unique case.
Havisham, get that out of here.
Yes, ma'am. I'm afraid one of the upstairs windows will blow open. The damage will be done to the expensive Oriental.
Expensive? You can pick up a Louis Fan paperback for 2 bits.
I meant the Oriental carpet. It's rare.
So are you, baby.
Go along, and take your hat box with you. You're always leaving it about.
Yes, Miss Maple.
Well, I trust we all realize we could have been wiped out.
You mean to make the biscuits?
The poison was in the biscuits?
I'll give you 3 to 1 on the sherry. That stuff will kill you even when it ain't been poisoned.
Do we fully grasp the seriousness of the situation?
Cut off from the mainland.
The storm.
No communication.
Facing the window walking around.
I think it would be a wise idea if none of us ate or drank anything until the morning.
Until morning.
Till the storm ebbs and we can signal a passing boat.
If still alive,
The poison was not in the sherry or the pastry.
We all saw the half-empty glass and half-bitten biscuit.
Well, stand up if you would, Mrs. Carlyle.
A touch of the master himself, Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, magnifying glasses have become quite sophisticated since the days of London fog and handsome caps. Oh, this one, for example, magnifies up to 20 times. It can also identify odors. One should never be taken in by appearances. It's a capital mistake to theorize before one has all the evidence.
So?
Well, if you look here, you see what I mean. There's the spot. You see it?
Why, it looks like a little needle.
Correct.
Give me a look.
Rick Carlo was murdered by a poisoned dart.
Dart?
I discovered the dart about an hour ago. Since the dart entered the bar at an almost straight angle, I surmised it came from the painting. Or rather, as Miss Maple has explained, the hole in the wall.
You're right. One eyeball is missing.
We're up against a clever killer.
Either clever or mad. How do we know some lunatic didn't catch wind of this weekend party and decide to have a murderous lark?
You're allowing your imagination to get the best of you, my dear.
Am I? Do you realize I was sitting in that chair?
Oh my goodness, you might have been scratched.
Mind explaining yourself out of that one, Flimsy?
I removed the vicious little dart, analyzed the poison, and replaced the miniature weapon for the sake of recreating the murder method. Without the poison, it's harmless.
Well, I'll give you credit, Flimsy. You're no man's fool.
I appreciate that, gentlemen.
I still think we should case the island.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
I'm terrified. What sort of man would do such a thing?
Aren't you forgetting something, Miss Maple?
What?
Poison is a woman's weapon.
Come on, before he gets away.
I should see to matters in the kitchen, but I'm frightened of every shadow.
would allow my humble protection.
Thank you, Dan. I'd appreciate that.
The name is Fan. What's the use?
Well, I think it would be a wise idea if we stayed together.
You mean safety in numbers?
Precisely.
I don't see how that will protect us from flying darts coated in poison.
Still, we must admit the killer is a villain of imagination. No pistol shots for this chap.
Then you're convinced the killer is a male.
A rogue male, perhaps. Time will tell.
If your theory is correct, then you could be the killer.
Laura, you're distraught.
Or Peter Flimsy, or Chandler Marlowe, or Lily.
Laura, come.
Stay away from me!
Exhausted.
Sleep is the last thing I want. At least when I'm awake, I know I'm alive.
Poor Mrs. Maple. She was so canny on a fun weekend.
It's a raging success, if you have a macabre sense of humor.
I want to confide in someone.
What about?
Havisham. She's on parole in prison because of some unpleasantness with the hatchet.
Hatchet. Havisham, of course, I recall the case.
Be on guard.
I appreciate your telling me. Rita, don't forget your hat box.
What's that?
Helicopter overhead! Undoubtedly, a police helicopter was saved! Saved!
I want to get a look at this.
It's over the house. The lights are very bright.
It's the police!
Don't know, but they put a ladder down. I saw it swinging in the glow.
A ladder? You mean they're dropping someone down in this weather? That would be insane!
Who would be foolhardy enough to descend on the house of murder?
Charity Hayes!
Charity, baby, you remember me? Chandler Marlowe? We met at Mardi Gras, New Orleans. I'd know you anywhere.
Charity Hayes isn't your ordinary face in the crowd.
I don't understand. A helicopter!
I missed the boat. This might be ungracious of me, but I could do with a hot bath.
I'll prepare one. I'm your hostess, my dear, and this is Mr. Louis Fan and Mr. Peter
Can we
Lindsay.
hold introductions till after I've had my bath?
Oh, whatever you say, Charity. Come along, I'll show you to your room. How good that you've arrived. You live up to your reputation.
Don't suppose I could get a glass of sherry and a biscuit.
My goodness.
Oh, what a girl. Package of dynamite.
Remarkable young woman.
Exceptional. What's the matter with you, Laura?
That voice I know anywhere. Mabel Dupree.
Down in Louisiana.
Louisiana, how romantic.
Actually, it was kind of muggy. Got mildew on my gumshoes.
I must say I'm terribly disappointed in Louis. All that business about Ludwig Flush and the wheelchair. Ah, lucky for him the hero of his books isn't so dense.
I never read much of him. Too soft for me. I like my crime hard-boiled.
Murder's not an egg, Chandler.
Bad eggs stink, and so does murder. There's been a murder in this house. It stinks.
I had agreed to throw an embroidered bedsheet over poor Mr. Carlyle. I thought it was the least I could do.
You're a gracious dog.
I can be gracious and I can be resolute.
I feel like a human being thanks to that hot tub.
You look like a human being, baby. My kind of human being.
Chandler tells me you two met in Louisiana.
At Mardi Gras?
Oh, how romantic.
I didn't think so. The weather was muggy and I got mildew on my platforms.
Gotta admire any girl who can arrive at a weekend house party during the height of a storm. In a helicopter.
Don't call me a girl, Cheddar. I'm all woman.
You can say that again.
You heard me the first time.
I was annoyed when you didn't arrive on the boat. Then I was relieved.
Relieved?
I mean, now that we're all apparent targets for some deranged killer.
You mean Rick Carlisle?
He's not the killer, he's the victim.
Well, what's anyone doing about it?
We're doing what we can. We're not eating anything. We're not drinking anything.
Mr. Fan made some preposterous deductions that did nothing but cloud the issue. The man is a buffoon.
Well, everyone seems to be taking the matter calmly.
I'm not taking it calmly. I'm down in the wine cellar.
What of it?
There's a body down there.
Naturally, there's a body down there.
Or unnaturally.
Rick Carlisle.
He's
You
dead.
won't get any deader.
No, you don't understand. He's really dead.
You've been sampling any of the wares down in that cellar?
I thought it was part of the game, all part of your charade. I thought he would show up later and tell us it was all a joke.
Oh, murder is never a joke.
Didn't you hear what Flimsy said? A poison dart.
A murder!
Sit down, Father White. You're weak in your kneecap.
I am distraught. Fun and games are one thing.
Yeah, we know. Murder's something else.
I like realism as well as fantasy in my charades, but I trust you don't believe I'd go as far as murder.
I don't know what to believe anymore.
I can't see a thing outside. Fog's like black ink.
Oh, murder.
And what's the matter with him?
It's just got him that the corpse in the wine cellar is a corpse.
Would you mind explaining that?
Murder! Real murder.
That's the worst kind.
It looks as if you're gathering for a council of war.
I've asked the others to join us. I do wish they'd get here.
When the honorable hostess requests, honorable guest comply.
Do shut up.
I'll tell you something else, Louis. I don't believe Oriental people talk the way you do.
Where is Laura? Why isn't she here?
She's had a bit of a shock.
Shock? Someone murdered her husband.
She took that standing up. I don't mean her husband.
It means you. Say it.
What have I to do with Laura Carlyle? I don't know the lady. I guzzled her books. Not my brand at all.
You're more like me, baby. Ear to the city's asphalt.
Leave my ear out of it.
Oh, there you are. Come and join us. I'll sit over here. As you wish.
You got something on your mind, Miss Maple?
I told you, Chandler, I can be gracious and I can be resolute.
Let's hear the resolute.
Quite. Ladies and gentlemen, I must apologize for this strange turn of events at Ravenswood Manor.
Well, it's not your fault.
Oh, the point I wish to emphasize exactly. I don't want anyone to believe I would stoop so low as to engineer this misfortune.
Why would we even think such a thing?
You mean we might suspect you're out to publicize a new chain of bookstores?
What bookstores?
Well, it's no secret, is it? Isn't that why we're all here to make sure our books are on the shelf?
I am here as a tranquil weekend guest. Nothing more.
Nonsense.
You go right to the heart of the matter, Charity.
I see no reason to pussyfoot.
So you all knew what I was planning.
Oh, so what if we did know? I mean, no harm done, is there?
Why not ask Rick?
Rick,
The dead man!
As Mr. Fan would say, must get you two back on track. My reputation as hostess has been impeccable.
Until now.
Alas, we have no choice but to remain on the island until morning. Is that correct or isn't it?
correct.
We're stuck here until daylight.
I will not have my party ruined by some unknown killer whose motive or motives as yet are unrevealed. I will not bow down to any sinister force. Nothing changes, the charade continues. Forgive me, I didn't mean to get carried away.
But why continue?
I want the killer found so he can be punished. Murder is one thing, but the ruination of a weekend party at Ravenswood Manor is quite another.
That's all well and good, Miss Maple, but we're detective writers, not the police.
The police would only bungle the case. Besides, Mr. Flimsy has already shown remarkable talents in deduction.
I've been prowling around on the scent.
You've a great deal of faith in us.
Ooh, I've explained my theory already. Detective story writers often create sleuths like themselves.
Only more so.
Exactly. I've invited you here because you're the best in your field. Prove it. Catch the gatecrasher. Let his apprehension be a warning to all of the social bores.
I wouldn't call a murderer a social bore.
Who else but a bore would do such a thing?
If all else fails, we can at least get a pretty good yarn out of this.
Yarn?
A book? I got a title already. Murder Walks the Fall.
Island of evil.
Murder in San Francisco Bay.
The corpse in a wine cellar.
Mad weekend.
Oh, the sooner the beast is caught, the sooner we can hand the fellow over to the police with a minimum of publicity.
Publicity like a god. Works both ways.
Then we agree. Nothing changes, the charade continues.
As you wish.
However,
Yes?
to assure you that I am not frivolous in my desire to catch this monster, I will award an honorarium to the one who smokes him out.
How much?
$25,000.
25 grand?
You have until sunrise.
I think she means it.
She means it.
She won't stand for anyone disrupting her weekend house party.
If I find out who did it, I won't be adverse to publicity.
No, your kind never is.
My kind?
Well, why are we standing here talking? There's the killer, she's the one. Mabel Dupree.
Mabel who?
Easy, baby. That's not the Dupree dame. That's Charity Hayes. Take my word for it.
Don't let that phony wig fool you. It's Mabel, I tell you. Mabel? Mabel?
Laura, you're making a mistake.
Take off that wig! You overheard crazy! Give me that wig!
Laura, calm yourself.
I'll handle this one.
Do something.
Give me that wig!
Lady,
Wig!
It's my own hair, you idiot.
Thanks, Charity. I needed that.
What was that
forgive her. She's not herself.
She mistook you for arch rival, infamous Mabel Dupree.
Still pack a mean wallop, sugar.
I can take care of myself, Chandler.
I think we're making a great mistake. In what way? I believe the clue is in the recording.
If it is, then there's a woman behind it. I feel it.
There you go with that woman's intuition again.
In other words, Laura, you mean chercher la femme.
Huh?
Find the woman.
What woman?
It was that famous detective, Monsieur Jacquard in Two Masters of Mohicans of Paris who first used the phrase.
Who?
Wearing his green spectacles and promptly dipping into his snuff box.
Huh?
Forever saying, chercher la femme.
Then you agree with me.
Well, surely you all know that Monsieur Jacquard was the literary ancestor of all the great fairies, from Victor Hugo's Herbert to Doyle's Holmes in years before Hawkshaw.
What's a fairy?
I don't know any Hawkshaw. What's he talking about?
Well, your education in the history of detectives is sadly lacking.
Interesting you use the word of history. To just name a gentleman in a portrait, Ludwig Flash.
I understand the reporting accused me of murder.
Yeah.
Easily explained.
How?
Since I never actually murdered anyone real that is, the recording had to mean a popular character in one of my books.
I remember you had a character by the name of Jumbo. A great gumshoe.
I got bored with him and knocked him off in print. There was a public outcry. Critics said I murdered Jumbo.
Oh, in much the same manner, Doyle caused a sensation when he killed off Sherlock Holmes.
Interesting, but it's not getting us anywhere.
I'm not sure I can agree. Most interesting explanation. Suggest other possibilities.
It's getting chilly. I thought someone might need an Afghan. I'll put them in the bedrooms, too.
We won't be doing much sleeping.
It's quite chilly on the island.
Well, first time I've seen her without her hat box.
Curious you mentioned a hat box. Recalls case of a headless horseman.
I remember that one. A jockey was murdered by his girlfriend during the Kentucky Derby.
Why did they call him the headless horseman?
You mean.
Miss Islesbauer looks amazingly like a missing girlfriend. A female addicted to hats. I noticed similarities as soon as I entered Ravenswood Manor.
I'm not worried about the missing girlfriend. I'm worried about
Don't
the
say it, my dear. It's too dreadful to contemplate.
She could be the lunatic killer.
Never mind about that. I think we should lay out a plan of action.
What do you suggest?
Charity and me'll tackle the wine cellar. Louis, you and Father White go over the upstairs with a fine-tooth comb.
But do not possess such an article. Small joke.
If it was a big joke, it wouldn't be any funnier.
What about me?
I'll take Laura with me. We'll check around outside.
Is that wise?
We better stick in pairs.
I mean, going outside the storm.
Just keep thinking about that 25 grand.
Let's go outside.
Come along.
You lead, I follow.
Stay close.
I am sorry about the wake.
So's my scalp.
Charity, baby. Here we are, together again.
Keep your mind on your work, Chandler. Ravenswood Manor isn't Mardi Gras.
But a little kiss for old time's sake.
Which way is the wine cellar?
Down that way. Come on, Charity, I'm all puckered up. Give us a kiss. Come on, sugar, I'm waiting. Come on, a little kiss for old time's sake. Oh, a kiss.
I ain't no lover girl. What'd you expect?
Where's Charity?
Down the hall. If she's going to the wine cellar, she won't get in.
Why not?
I locked it.
You can unlock it.
Well, the key's by the door.
Haversham! Haversham!
Hello.
Out. Oh dear, what was that?
Oh, read.
Oh, that will calm my nerves. The case of the curious caretaker. I shall never forget the night I arrived at Skull Island. No one was there to greet me with the exception of Miss Midwinter, the housekeeper, a woman of stern countenance and iron will, and I was terrified. Perhaps if the boatman had not been blind and mute, some of my fears might have been lessened, but alas, that was not meant to be. Why was the abandoned bell tower
evening did it foretell of some dreaded happening. Oh, it wasn't the warmest of welcomes for a governess of 16. What would I encounter here? No, come here! Wait! Another moment and we'd be drenched.
Our killer's outside is a fool as well as a madman.
How sweet. She's fallen asleep like an innocent child.
Should we wake her?
Let her sleep. She needs all the rest she can get. She'll be fine.
People matter for one of three reasons, Chandler.
I'm listening.
Profit, revenge.
What's the third reason?
I forget, but it will come to me.
Well, we searched everywhere upstairs. Not a sign of an intruder.
Maybe the others have found something outside.
Not so, they remain upstairs.
They were supposed to remain outside.
The rain forced them in.
What you two discover?
There's an embroidered bedsheet of the dead man.
Boy. Perhaps killer, in gesture of contrition, placed an embroidered bedsheet over deceased.
An embroidered bedsheet does sound a bit extravagant. After all, a plain bedsheet would have done as well.
Suggest we consider motive of him placing embroidered bedsheet over cooling body of Ricara. Possibly could lead us to killer's identity.
You guys belong in a museum. The old doll had Rita toss the linen over the victim. Pocket sugar.
One less clue to consider.
Louis, I don't think you can find yourself in the dark.
It ain't raining so much as before.
Gotta watch that Havisham. She sneaks up when you ain't looking and steals a kiss.
I don't steal. Well, I don't steal no more. I'm performing.
What are you talking about?
Hello, what's the matter with her?
Who?
Miss Maple.
Bless me, I didn't see her sitting there.
She's awful still.
Please don't wake her. She's exhausted.
Is it any wonder?
Where's Flimsy?
Washing his hands.
Out, damn spot! Out, I say!
Huh?
Shakespeare, Macbeth, Act 5, Scene 1. Lady Macbeth attempts to wash away the blood of guilt.
Huh?
Why would a man wash hands when he has just entered the house from a storm?
Maybe they were dirty. No, she don't look right to me.
Who?
Who we've been talking about, Miss Maple.
Nothing, I tell you.
Should we wake her?
Old people need sleep, let it be.
Any luck?
No.
We've discovered exactly nothing.
It's another one.
Another what?
Another figurine fell off the mantle. It's broken like the first one.
Most unusual.
Anybody got any ideas?
About what?
About anything?
Ooh, why don't we get up above a bridge?
I'm game. Yeah.
Outrageous! Didn't any one of you realize I'd been murdered?
We're asleep.
Shots rang out. I was slumped over. A figurine fell from the mantle.
What's going on here?
I'll tell you what's going on here. You're a bunch of incompetents. I arranged for Haversham to fire some blank shots to test your reactions, and alas, you have all failed miserably. Ladies and gentlemen, you disappoint me profoundly.
You were carrying on with the charade, right?
That charity is self-evident. Since everything else has proven slightly absurd, I'm beginning to wonder if the gentleman in the cellar is truly deceased.
She's deceased.
We'll take our word for it.
I shall see for myself. Havisham, get the key.
Yes, ma'am.
Idiots!
She's annoying.
I hope this doesn't mean she'll give up the idea of the bookstore.
We better think of something to calm her down.
You must be famished. There's some food that's sealed in its container. We might eat that. No one can tamper with it.
I am hungry.
I'll see to it at once.
One moment.
What is it, Mr. Tan?
The name is Fan. Not Tan. Louis Fan. This is a fan. Think of fan. Cools one on a hot day. Understand?
I'm not a child. You had something to say to me?
Must be obvious to all. Killer is one of us.
Absolutely.
We'll explain.
Do.
Why would a sweetheart of heartless jockey take a job at Ravenwood Manor?
You talking about the horseman murder at the Kentucky Derby?
I am.
He wasn't heartless, he was headless.
Believe Miss Islesbauer was a jockey's sweetheart.
That's ridiculous.
Suggest Rita Islesbauer was also sweetheart of Rick Cartwright, and when he wished to end friendship, was struck down, as was unfortunate jockey.
You mean...
There is a murderer.
You mean...
Fascinating and unscrupulous.
You mean...
Mabel Dupree.
What's everyone staring at?
You're Mabel Dupree? Murder Rick Cartwright?
I don't want another mistake.
Here is a photograph from a newspaper of unhappy jockey and his mad sweetheart.
Rubbish.
No, positive resemblance. Case is solved.
Louis,
Yes?
the woman in this picture is a black woman. Miss Islesbauer is not a black woman.
What a meatball. No wonder your books are going out of print.
See the picture? You are not the mad sweetheart.
Maybe I'm not sweetheart, but I'm certainly mad. Furious, you fool!
Unless Hatbox belongs to Jockey's killer.
Why are we here talking about the Kentucky Derby when Miss Maple is angry with a lot of us? Rita, forgive this, what did you call him?
I called Mr. Fan a fool.
Forgive the fool. Please fetch Miss Maple from the wine cellar.
You ought to be locked up. You're a menace.
Gotta hand it to you, Louis. You're one in a million.
You do get carried away. 2 wrong deductions in one evening is quite enough.
When all the hens cluck, who can hear the rooster?
I do agree with Louis on one point.
And what's that, Chandler?
The killer is one of us.
But why was Rick the only one to get it?
Get what?
The dart in that chair. Oh, I am sorry, Lord, that was tactless. No fear, though. I have placed a metal piece behind the portrait. The passageway the deadly dart has taken has been sealed.
I wish you'd stop talking like one of the characters in your lousy books.
If only the dawn would get here.
Give it time.
He's dead. Quite dead, there can be no mistake.
I think I might be able to shed some light on this grisly affair.
Pitch in.
Havisham.
Put it out there.
Rita, what I told you was in confidence.
I don't think we have any right to keep it a secret any longer.
You mean about Havisham's police record?
How did you know about that?
I told Mrs. Carlyle.
Havisham isn't homicidal.
What about the unpleasantness with the hatchet?
Hatchet? We are back at the Hatbox.
Nothing of the sort.
Havisham, Hatchet, I recall the case. Didn't she break into some safety deposit boxes by chopping through the bank's outside wall?
She made some such attempt.
But I didn't get away with it. And I done my time. I'd appreciate it too if you talked about me when I was in the room. It's only polite.
Well, murder and politeness seldom go together.
Will this cursed storm never end?
I can see where this is going to take a strong logical hand. I think I could shed some light too.
Please do.
You all agree that the murderer used the tape recording to lay out his plan?
Carlyle's demise was proof.
Proof of nothing except that he was marked for death. Remember what I was accused of?
Murder.
Murder only in the figurative sense. What about it, Louis? What about the night in Shanghai?
No, nothing.
Remember the stakes? Survival?
I'm thinking of something sinister.
What?
There's only one figurine left on the mantle.
If our killer's going to strike again, he'll have to do it before daylight.
I hope no one will say, no one leave the room.
Night in Shanghai does not refer to a holiday in the Orient. The rival writer was to use it as title of his new book. I used it first. He never forgave me.
My murder wasn't real. Night in Shanghai was nothing more than a book title. What about you, Mrs. Carlyle?
Me?
What does tulip signify?
Tulip was a dog. The sweetest little puppy you ever saw. I wanted to buy him, but the pet shop owner refused. He was adamant. He was gonna sell him to a disagreeable and harsh army major. I couldn't bear it, so Rick and I...
Dog nappers.
We changed Tulip's name to Napoleon so no one would know. We were always afraid. How would it look on the society page?
What dark secret was yours, Chandler?
The recording said that you couldn't escape your past, that you were guilty of a foul crime.
Do I have to?
Chandler?
Well, before I became a detective writer, I had another job.
You are what?
I was a literary critic.
That is foul.
Well, there's no use in asking me what happened in the playing fields of Eton. I haven't the slightest idea.
Don't you see? The recording is a joke. The crimes aren't crimes at all. Indiscretions, perhaps, nothing more.
As I was playing jokes here and there, someone else was doing the same with the recording.
That's my guess.
I can buy it.
But who did it?
We don't know if the tape recording and the killer are one and the same. Finding out the killer's identity is what's important. What we have to figure out is who had the motive and who had the opportunity to knock off Carlisle. The killer had to know the house.
Could it have been the man in the dark glasses and scarf?
Who?
A moment before I was shocked, he was in the room. Didn't I tell you? It must have slipped my mind. Do you think it was someone playing a joke, enjoying the charade?
Let me go on with my deducing.
Please do, Chandler. I have faith in you.
Remember those key words. Motive. Opportunity.
Chandler, for goodness sake.
What's that? Telephone. Is there a telephone on Turkey Island? It's coming from over here. The desk.
There's no phone on the desk.
Try the drawer.
Answer it.
Ravenswood Manor.
Who's caller?
What did they say?
Rather not repeat what I heard. The language was crude.
And I've seen phone calls this hour.
Who had motive and who had opportunity? I'll handle this. In the detective game, you're either a firecracker or a fizzle. This is Chandler Marlowe speaking, you pinhead. I have ways of tracing phone calls, and when I find out who you are, I'm going to rearrange your face. You'll be breathing through your navel. Oh, is that so? Well, if you think you're man enough, you just remember my name, Buster, is Chandler Marlowe.
Would you mind explaining, Mr. Marlowe?
Well, all part of the charade. You wanted us to keep it up, didn't you?
But the telephone rang.
I got a relay buzzer in my pocket.
Shall I answer it?
Better tell it all, Chandler.
Rita, what do you know about this?
I'm Chandler's secretary.
You.
When Miss Maple advertised for a social secretary for 1 month, Chandler had me apply.
I already had my invitation, so I figured it would be a good chance for some laughs.
Murder is no laughing matter.
I kept needling Louie about the headless horseman till I had him thinking it was Rita who did the jockeying.
Interesting theory, but Louis Fan is not buying. Hatbox undoubtedly contains blow-dart gun that silenced Carlisle.
Hey!
Behold! Murder weapon.
What's in there?
A head.
A head.
A head of cabbage.
Cabbage?
I called you a fool before, and that's what you are. All part of the gag.
Head of cabbage is food for thought.
Everything seems to be falling into place.
You forgot one thing, Miss Hayes. Father White. He didn't confess to any indiscretions. Not only that, he knows this house inside and out.
Why would you say that?
Because I saw you coming out of that wall. There's a secret passageway back there.
Secret passageway? Now we're getting somewhere.
Chandler is quite right. In detection, we must always look for the unexpected. With the naked eye, we cannot see the invisible snakes that exist in every glass of water.
What's he going on about?
Invisible crocodiles that swim in every spoonful of soup.
Soup.
Or invisible dolphins that roam and play in every droplet of milk.
What are you getting at?
It's the sort of stuff he puts in his books. Nobody can understand.
I merely wish to point out that we must employ a microscope of the mind when we wish to investigate.
If you say so.
I suppose there's no point in continuing with the charade, is there? Truth of the matter is, I'm not Father White.
Impossible!
Who are you?
A strolling minstrel, you might say.
Huh?
I'm an actor.
Actors.
Well, they're doing a new series on Father White, so I persuaded the real invitee to allow me to take his place. You know, to test my impersonation of him, to get inside the mind of Father White, to act and react.
That's quite enough of that drivel. Invisible crocodiles, indeed.
But the secret passageway. It's not a secret passageway. The original owner had a flair for eccentric architecture. It leads up from the wine cellar.
Oh, is that where the other door is?
Well, didn't you know?
Ravenswood Manor isn't my home. I merely rented it for a few weeks for the purpose of this weekend house party.
Listen.
The helicopter.
Maybe this time it is the police. Can you see it?
It's too dark.
Is it at the house or in the dock?
I think it's on the north side of the aisle.
We can signal with a flare.
Through the kitchen. Not that way.
Signaling the helicopter may be our last chance.
We must get protection. Wait! Look! It's him, the man I was telling you about.
Good Lord! Rick Carlisle!
It's not possible, you're dead.
Never saw anyone dead.
I too thought of a little joke that would be amusing. Instead of one Rick Carlisle, there would be two.
Two?
Rick's twin brother. He's the one down in the wine cellar.
I was going to confuse everyone, be in two places at the same time, only someone got to me first and finished me off.
You mean your brother, don't you?
That's right. Only the murderer didn't know he had made a mistake, so I decided to stay out of sight and learn what I could.
What did you learn?
Nothing.
All right, I'll take it from here.
Oh, you are the murderer.
How can anyone be so consistently wrong?
We'll take what from here?
The investigation. I saw Carlisle talking with his brother in town. Carlisle's twin was a con artist. If he had plans to come here, he had plans to rob. Flimsy owes me a favor too, so he was no problem.
My brother was no good. That's true. He did seem to agree rather quickly. I should have suspected.
The pickings would be good. Some jewels, some wallets. Who knows what else?
If you're not Peter Flimsy, who are you?
Oh, 1 second. Pharaoh Link.
Crack investigator on the Frisco force.
All right, that's San Francisco. Can't you get your foot out of that
I've been
wastebasket?
trying to.
Everything has been explained satisfactorily.
Not quite.
It was all an amusing and charming exercise, and now you see it, now you don't.
Who killed the man in the wine cellar?
Let me answer that.
And you are Miss
Mabel!
Mabel? Oh, Rick!
You are the murderer.
If you say that one more time, I'll murder you.
I mean business! I killed the wrong man. I won't make that mistake a second time. No one leave this room! Where's the real Havisham? Probably in Canada by now. I gave her $200 to take her place. Oh, I won't be able to give a very good report to the parole people.
I wouldn't shoot.
He made a fool of me. No one walks out on Mabel Dupree. Killed one man already. What does another one matter? Rick, she's gonna shoot! Ah!
What a woman.
You're a woman!
There's a police helicopter flying around outside to see if I need assistance. They're going to have an unexpected passenger. I'm taking you in.
Look, it's dawn.
The storm passed. I mean, the boat from the mainland will be here soon.
Come on, Mabel. We've got a date with the jury.
I won't have anything to worry about. Not if there's 12 men on that jury.
bring any luggage? Maybe I can hitch a ride with Pharaoh Link. He's my kind of man.
What about me? How do you like that? Should have known better than to trust a dame.
Rita, see if you can get anything on the radio besides static. Oh, I do hope they'll send someone for the gentleman in the wine cellar.
I'm sure they will.
Oh, what a night! What a night!
We interrupt this program of light chamber music to bring you a special bulletin. A dangerous murderer has escaped from the Marin County Institute for the Criminally Insane. Known only as the Killer of 40 Faces,
Turn it
the
off,
prisoner seized a
Rita.
rowboat at dawn and was last seen heading into a fog.
We don't want to go through that again.
Who said shut up, Daryl?
Working with all of you.